Well, welcome to the first installation of my Allsouthangler video blog. Who is Allsouthangler? I guess that would be me. I'm Charlie Jones from Jones County. I am married to my wonderful wife and best friend, Rebecca Jones. I have two wonderful children, Michael Jones and Jillian Scruggs. I spend a lot of my time working, but the rest of it I try to spend it fishing and, well, a lot of people can see maybe turning a few wrenches. I'm 41 years old. I'm from, I guess you would say Ellisville, in Jones County, Mississippi. Grew up doing a lot of, the standard fishing around here, your farm ponds, lakes, creeks, rivers. I had a huge fishing environment on both sides of my family. My dad's side with his three brothers and his sister, all just huge cat fishermen, and a lot of crappie. Crappie was always a real big thing in our family. And then on the Pruitt side of my family, which is just another legendary, almost kind of cat fishing family, with the big rivers. With my grandfather on that side, he was known for a really big catfish guy. And I think I can remember one time there's still a picture of it floating around our family of him with two blue cats pegged up on a tree. And at the time, I don't even think I was at double digits in age, and they just felt like sharks. They felt like sea monsters or something on this tree. And even at that age, I can just remember just being ate up with it. I like a lot of anglers, you catch that one fish, and for some people, like, yeah, that was fun. But then there's those other people, you catch that one fish, and you're like, man, I want to do whatever it takes to do it again and again and again. And, I definitely have adult ADD, as a child to lead to an adult, but with ADD comes a certain amount of obsessive compulsive, maybe, or hyper focus. I don't know where you would put it, but that is almost to me like a superpower. For a lot of people, they'll say, man, I would hate being that distracted all the time. And that distraction comes from so many things going on in my or our minds, people like myself at one time. Just processing information and problem solving, and it's caused issues in my life, and it's also caused a lot of achievements in my life. And I think that allows me to focus on fishing in a way that well, I guess almost to an addiction level, and really kind of pattern fish, whatever I'm after, whether it be in the beginning, the panfish, brim, and fishing with my parents and my extended family, and catfish, and after that, I guess probably at the age around 17 or 18 years old, I want to bass fish. I want to catch those big bass that everybody else is catching. And so I did that for many years, probably into my mid-20s, and had a lot of people wanting me to do it, wanted to support me in doing it in a pro way. But man, I just really, even at that age, I felt like it would just pull the joy out of it, and it was something that I loved so much that I just couldn't do it. So I can continue to fish recreationally. Never really did any tournaments of any kind, and I often wondered where I would size up, but I just took the feedback from people around me, and people that went fishing with me, and people that I fished with, and knowing their success and their reputation, and the feedback that they would give me whenever either I would put them on fish, or we would go to high pressure areas, and I would be able to pattern out just from maybe a few fish biting how they bit, paying attention to why they bit, and repeat that process. And I would get that feedback from those people that maybe, I'm doing pretty good. And I did that. I went through the bass fishing phase, and then full circle right back around to crappie, man. Crappie were always just a go-to fish. And And I hate to say it, and I felt like it was because they were more of a challenge. I'm not saying bass fishing isn't hard in any way, but to consistently stay on crappie, it's another level. It's open water fishing sometimes, creek bank ledges, structure you can't see a lot, especially fishing the lakes, the reservoirs that we fish in Mississippi, Okeechobee, Ross Barnett, into some of the more private, Lake Edens. I fish Landrum Lakes. Man, I cut my teeth at Landrum's Lakes and Bogahoma Creek. I cut my teeth there, with the catfish, the brim. That's my dad grew up on that creek, and I just went full circle. And kind of, I have to say this, talking about cutting my teeth at Bogahoma Creek and Landrum's Lakes. Landrum Lakes, for those that aren't familiar with this area at all, they were a pay-to-fish lake that was ran by the Landrum family. These lakes, for the longest time, were a big producer of crappie. And as time went on, and some events and situations happened there at the lake, and Miss Landrum, God rest her soul, she passed away. It led to the closing of the lake, but they still allowed people like myself that pretty much grew up on that lake from about the age of 12 up to continue fishing there. But anyway, my point in being, probably right around the age of 12 or 13 years old, Bogahoma Creek and Landrum's Lakes were my babysitter. My parents, I had great parents. I really did. I had great parents. My dad, he worked really hard in the oil field, ran a welding truck for 47, 48 years. Hard work. I mean, hard manual labor work. And so he would be out of town a lot, we'd be out of town a lot working overnight. And my mom, she worked at JCPenney's for a few decades, I guess. And I would beg, instead of go stay with a babysitter, drop me off at the lake or drop me off at the creek. I'll be okay. I just wanted to fish. And she would. And I proved that I could take care of myself, and I was responsible to do that a lot of the times. And they knew it was keeping me out of trouble. And man, I learned. I learned so much from that age up until probably 18 or 19-year-old, where other things kind of start becoming important in your life. And I didn't fish as much, but I learned so much on those lakes and in that creek. And I guess, going full circle, as a young person, going, through the panfish and the catfish, then into the bass, that was, the mainstream, the cool thing to do, and then back around to crappie. As I began to fish heavily again in my later years, or later on in life, I guess once I got back on that crappie game, and I felt like I was, on top of them again, on the different reservoirs, and I was on my A game again, I was left yearning. And that led me to inshore fishing. And man, I am eat up with it right now. I am probably in my third year of inshore fishing. I really love catching redfish. Specifically, I love catching redfish on a fly rod. I am not opposed to catching anything else. I love it when, good speckled trout bite. I love getting on the specks. I love catching flounder. I aim to catch some amberjack. I've not done that yet. I've heard once I catch a couple of them, I'm not going to want to catch anymore, but I'll have to see for myself. But there's so much to explore in the Mississippi coastal system. We have our barrier islands. You got Petty Boy, Sand, Horn, then Ship, and they're just, I don't even know if I can remember all that we have out here. And then Deer Island closer in. Everything from way over towards Avery at, Bayou Caddy, all the way over to Bayou Cumbus. Just all of them. But for those that know me as CEJ2525 on the Bull Nettler, it's pretty obvious. You go back and read my post. I really like fishing the Pascagoula and the Gaucher River system. And it's funny how that came to be. Not too long ago, I bought my first boat. bought a 1756 all-wheel center console. Love it. It's a great vessel. It's solid. It is an aluminum boat. It is a little on the louder side. It does kind of restrict on what I can do out front, but it does not restrict really what I can do in the marsh. My trolling motor is my determining factor on how shallow I go, and I keep a super stick push pole on board because I don't do a lot of push pole work, but if I want to, I can. But man, once I got that boat, it opened up so many opportunities for me, and it's a 4-hour round trip to the coast from me here in Jones County, and it's 100 miles both ways, but I'll do it in a heartbeat. I mean, everybody knows I will do it in a heartbeat to go catch those fish. And I got down there, me and my dad went on a very first trip, and everybody tells me, popping cork, you got to use a popping cork and throw some jigs. So I did, and that's what I started out with. I started out with popping cork with voodoo shrimp, and I want to say I was throwing some Bass Assassin sea shads on some H&H jig heads, and we did okay. Caught some redfish, man, and when I hooked into that first redfish, it would put bass to shame. Just the brute force that those pumpkin heads have, it's addictive. It really is addictive, and it's kind of like that was, like it was when I caught that first brim. I caught one, and I wanted to catch them all. I wanted to catch every one of them that swam in those waters. But to touch back with why I chose that system, I get this boat. I go to, I want to say I went to Bay St. Louis first, and it's beautiful there. People catch a lot of fish there, but there were boats everywhere. It was just traffic everywhere. And to me, fishing has a little bit of seclusion. Fishing should feel like a reset. It should feel like you're out there with nature. And I have there's boat traffic in Pascagoula on the weekends, but with my job, I work in the oil and gas industry, and when I'm at home, I'll have 2 to 4 weeks at a time, and I can pick those weekdays to fish, and there's just not a lot of traffic there during the weekdays. But I tried, Biloxi, I tried fishing around D'Iberville, I tried all of them, and man, but consistently Gaucher was, a smaller amount of boat traffic, and I wanted to pick an area that I could dissect and learn and pattern fish so I could understand the species, because I had a lot going against me. I mean, I knew that in a way, applying bass fishing tactics to redfish worked, but the structure is completely different, and I'll get into that in some later vlogs. But I say all of this to get to one point. I was a freshwater angler, brand new in an inshore environment, and I think what I can bring to the table for a period of time is that perspective from a person that is maybe an accomplished angler, and like, hey, I want to try this inshore game. Well, I can at least tell you the tactics that I've used to be successful, and I feel like I've had a fair amount of success. And I can also not only the tackle, the presentations, but the difference in structure that you're going to run into, the differences in places that will hold fish in an inshore environment that are different from freshwater fishing. It's a totally different ballgame, and that's part of the draw to me is I'm constantly learning, and we're all constantly learning. But I mean, I'm new to the game, and I am still learning, and I have had some fantastic mentors. I mean, fantastic mentors. The Bull Nettler. The Bull Nettler is a forum, a Mississippi forum, that has a host of different sub-forums, from anything from outdoor expos, turkey hunting, deer hunting, trapping, preparation of game, to freshwater fishing, saltwater fishing, saltwater fly fishing, freshwater fly fishing, kayaking. I mean, it is just a plethora of information. But I stalked that website for a long time, that forum for a long time. I stalked it so much to the point to where I felt guilty where I needed to give back. And sure, you want to show off your catch. I'm new to it and like, hey, look, I went out and I did this and this is what I caught. But there was also a certain amount of wanting to give back to that group. And through that group, I met some great people. Not to give out, I guess, their full names, but DB or Deceiver Bob's one of them. Man, DB has a ridiculous amount of historical knowledge, and I am one of those type of people. I want to absorb all the information I can to help me understand a fishery, and he has told me when different estuaries have changed courses, their direction, which has led me to finding potholes and just all kinds of. I mean, he's taught me a ton. I could do a segment on what this guy has taught me, and I've also could do another segment on two more men. Wild Bill Hancock of Outlaw Charters. Wild Bill, he and Jimmy Barnes are the Matrix madmen. They are the Matrix ambassadors here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and for good reason. That plastic works. That plastic works. It has a forever heavy place in my arsenal, which is small. My arsenal is small, and once again, I am excited to get to those things, but we'll touch on that later. But Wild Bill runs Outlaw Charters. He has recently just kind of started getting into fly fishing. He's very excited about it. Started tying his own flies like myself here as well. I haven't pushed for it much, but there, to let you know, Bill, it's coming. We're gonna get you to building your own rod. You're gonna love it when you build that rod and pull that first fish on it. I got some stuff I can loan you. Yeah, it's gonna be great. But Wild Bill has taught me a lot about how to fish a jig, how to target fish, how redfish kind of respond when they hold to the grass beds, hold outside the grass beds, and so on and so forth. And I've learned a lot from Wild Bill. And one that's not on the forum, he's a recent transplant from Jacksonville, Florida, is Captain John Botko. John was a veteran, 29-year plus, I believe, fly fishing guide from Jacksonville, Florida. Been in multiple publications. Used to do a radio show there. He is another wealth of information. I love getting him on the boat and just listening to everything he had to say. He's taught me a lot of subtle nuances about redfish that I don't know that I would have. I might would have picked up on it, but man, he's shortened the curve. And I love fishing with a guy. He's an older gentleman, but full of energy, not afraid to say what's on his mind. I mean, he is my kind of people. So I guess, in a nutshell, that's me. This whole Allsouthangler endeavor to me is new. I don't really know that I have a product. I do to an extent. I mean, Allsouthangler is an LLC for me. It is a company for me. I mean, I have a lot of fabrication equipment, and mechanic and automotive modifications and stuff. That's another passion of mine. But I do a fair amount of fabrication for, I guess, friends. I mean, I've built Wild Bill leaning posts for his poling platform. I've built myself and others poling platforms for the front of their vessels and skiffs, and extended fuel tanks, vessel repair. Aluminum. A lot of aluminum repair, aluminum fabrication, and welding. I have mandrel benders and vertical chop saws, wet cut chop saws, and I have a decent amount of fabrication equipment that I've come into over the years. So that's a part of Allsouthangler for me. But I can say, without doubt, the biggest part for me is a passion to learn and to meet people and understand how they do it, and maybe help somebody else along the way. I want to meet more people. I joined Horsefly, and Horsefly has also helped me a lot on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. They're based out of Ocean Springs Yacht Club. They are the Mississippi Gulf Coast, I want to say maybe they are the oldest fly fishing club in the area. And if you're interested at all in fly fishing, I challenge you to reach out and talk with us and get in touch with one of the members, myself, at allsouthangler@gmail.com. And also at Allsouthangler on Instagram. But I guess the reason for the video blog is to network, to learn, to meet new people, and to have new opportunities to do things. And I guess along the way, if we can help other people with their endeavors, with their video blogs, well then great. And I plan on having Wild Bill on. I plan on having John Botko. I plan on having Deceiver Bob. I have some people lined up from the Mississippi Department, the Marine Resources Department and Park Services, people that specialize in triple tail, that specialize in furthering our speckled trout population, that are doing redfish tagging that I participate in. I look forward to that. And I look forward to doing that also with a friend of mine named Charlie Garrettson. Charlie Garrettson is the athletic director at Jones County Junior College, our local junior college. And I just happened, I say I meet him by chance. I don't feel like many things are by chance, but I heard him having a discussion in an academy with one of his friends about fishing gaucher and wondering what they were biting on, and just so happened I fish there a lot, and I kind of spoke up there. We're standing in the fishing aisle, and we kind of kicked it off, and Charlie Garrettson used to do an outdoor column, so he's no stranger to some of these formats. I'm sure he'll help me out, and I'm kind of roughing this thing out and just rambling on here about my passion. But me and Charlie, with the network that Charlie has, the network that I have, hopefully when we come together, we're gonna have a lot of people that we can bring on, either on the video blog, or maybe just audio wise, and do it as a blog. I don't know how that's really gonna work out, but I'm excited to see how it will. And eventually we'll all learn something in the process. So I guess I'll leave with that. I'll leave with the parting thought of, especially those here in Mississippi, we spend so much time wondering about what we can do in Louisiana, or they're catching these big bulls and they're catching all these trout over in Alabama. But I'm telling you, if you get out on our Mississippi Gulf Coast and you see the ridiculous diversity of fish out there, whether it's sight fishing at the islands or catching these massive numbers of trout in the interior, in the marsh, or running the buoys for triple tail, or waiting for the jacks to run off off the shore there in Biloxi. I mean, there is so much that we have to offer. I challenge you to get out there and partake in it. So thank you for your time. Thank you for sitting here and listen to me ramble and rattle through my first installation, and I look forward to the next one. So God bless, and we'll see you next time.